There comes a time when everything you thought you were begins to fall apart. The things that once made sense start to dissolve, and the life you built around comfort and certainty suddenly feels too small for who you're becoming. You call it chaos, but your soul calls it awakening, because before every rebirth, there must first be a death, not of the body, but of the illusion. The awakening doesn't come wrapped in peace and light. It arrives disguised as confusion, loss, emptiness. You begin to feel detached from things you used to love. People drift away, goals lose their meaning, and the voice inside you whispers, "There's something more than this." It feels like falling apart, because the self that's crumbling is the one that was never truly you. At first, it feels like something has gone terribly wrong. Your thoughts turn against you, your emotions swing wildly, and the world that once felt solid begins to blur. You try to hold on to who you were, to what you knew, to the life that made sense yesterday. But everything you grip starts slipping through your fingers like sand running back into the ocean. You feel lost, isolated, even betrayed by the universe you once trusted. But the truth is, nothing has gone wrong. You're not breaking down, you're breaking open. The structures of your identity are collapsing because they can no longer contain the immensity of what's awakening inside you. This is how consciousness expands, not through comfort, but through dissolution. It removes what no longer aligns, not to punish you, but to free you. The pain you feel is the friction between the truth that's emerging and the illusion that's dying. Your mind calls it destruction. Your soul calls it transformation. Every tear, every sleepless night is not evidence of failure. It's the sound of the old self dissolving so the real one can finally breathe. So don't run from the falling apart. It's the sacred undoing, the space where rebirth begins. There comes a night when even silence feels heavy. The noise of the world fades, the distractions fall away, and you are left face to face with yourself, naked, trembling, unsure of who that even is. This is the dark night of the soul. It's not poetic, it's raw. It strips you down until there's nothing left to hold on to. You feel the ache of emptiness inside your chest. Not sadness, not fear, but something deeper, as if the universe itself is breathing through the cracks of your heart. And in that stillness, a strange realization begins to bloom. You're not dying, you're shedding. The layers of who you pretended to be, the identities you wore to be loved, the masks you built to feel safe, they're falling away. And yes, it hurts, because the illusion of self has become familiar, almost like home. But you can't carry the old story into the next chapter of your becoming. It has to burn away. That's why the darkness feels so endless, because it's not the absence of light, it's the womb of light. You are being remade in silence. You are being rewritten by something ancient and vast, something that knows who you truly are. The breakdown is not punishment, it's initiation. And what feels like the end of you is actually the beginning of truth. At some point, the darkness stops feeling like an enemy. You begin to sense a strange intelligence within it, a quiet rhythm, a pulse beneath the pain. You realize that what's falling apart isn't your life, it's your illusion of control. The universe isn't taking things from you, it's clearing space for what you truly are. Every loss, every ending has been a dismantling of what could no longer carry your light. You begged for awakening, but awakening means the death of everything false. The ego thought enlightenment would be peaceful, a golden sunrise, a gentle breath of bliss. But the truth is wilder than that. It's a storm that tears through every structure that isn't built from authenticity. And when you stop fighting it, something shifts. You start to see the beauty in what's leaving. You begin to trust the chaos. You realize that what feels like collapse is actually precision, a divine reordering. It's like the pruning of a tree. The cutting feels cruel, but without it, nothing new could ever bloom. And in that surrender, you taste the first sweetness of freedom. You no longer beg life to make sense. You let it flow through you. You no longer demand certainty. You rest in the mystery because you understand now. Awakening doesn't happen after the falling apart. It happens through it. Then, almost without noticing, something begins to change. You wake one morning and the heaviness has softened. The same world still surrounds you, but it feels lighter, as if the air itself has learned to breathe differently. The noise in your mind quiets, not because all the answers have appeared, but because you no longer need them. You start to feel peace in the middle of uncertainty, and that's when you realize this is what awakening feels like. It's not a lightning strike, it's a slow dawning. It's the moment the heart stops begging for clarity and starts trusting the unknown. The pain that once consumed you becomes a kind of teacher. You can look at it now without flinching, without resentment. You understand that every collapse, every broken piece was a door, and all of them led back here to yourself. You notice you're more patient, softer, less interested in being right, more interested in being real. The old self that tried so hard to control everything is gone, burned away by the light of awareness, and in its ashes, something pure has begun to grow. A quiet strength, a gentle wisdom, a knowing that doesn't shout but simply is. The storm didn't destroy you, it revealed you. You never fell apart, you were being rearranged, piece by piece, back into wholeness. You begin to understand why it had to happen this way, why everything you clung to had to crumble, why every illusion had to burn. Because awakening is not the addition of something new, it's the removal of everything false. The universe doesn't build your awakening from the outside in. It strips you bare until nothing remains but what's real. Every structure that fell apart, every plan, every certainty, every identity was a scaffolding around your light, and light cannot be contained. It expands, it breaks walls, it demands truth. So when your life collapsed, it wasn't punishment, it was precision. A higher intelligence was guiding the process, tearing down what you had outgrown. The ego sees destruction, the soul sees liberation. The old world had to die so the new one could breathe, and the new world is not out there, it's you, seen clearly at last. You realize now that the breakdown was never random, it was an initiation, the soul's way of saying, you are ready to remember who you are, and in that remembering, everything makes sense, even the pain, especially the pain, because pain was never your enemy. It was the sound of truth being born. As the dust of what was begins to settle, you realize that something profound has shifted. You no longer feel like a separate being trying to survive life. You feel like life itself, breathing, moving, experiencing through you. The mind still speaks, but now you listen with distance, like hearing waves crash against a shore that no longer threatens to drown you. You don't believe every thought, you simply watch them come and go, like clouds passing across the sky of your awareness. You begin to sense the quiet intelligence beneath all things, how everything happens not to you, but for you, even when it hurts. The relationships that ended, the dreams that dissolved, the moments you cursed as unfair, they were all movements of the same sacred choreography. You stop trying to fix your life, and you start participating in it. You don't push against the flow anymore, you surrender to it, and in that surrender, you discover real power. Because true strength isn't control, it's trust. It's the courage to let go of who you thought you were, again and again, each time returning a little lighter, a little more awake. And when you meet others still lost in their storm, you don't preach, you simply hold space, because you remember what it was like to mistake the unraveling for the end. You've seen the truth now, the unraveling is the beginning. Then one day, without warning, you feel love again. but not the kind that depends on someone else. It rises quietly from within, unearned, unprovoked, as if the universe itself is breathing through your chest. You look at the world, and it no longer feels like something happening to you. It feels like something happening as you. Every sound, every movement, every heartbeat around you feels synchronized, as though existence has remembered its rhythm. The people who once hurt you now appear like mirrors reflecting lessons you had chosen. The pain that once defined you now feels like a teacher disguised as fire. You understand now, nothing was wasted, not a single tear, not a single mistake. Everything was sculpting you into the shape of awareness you are today. This is the quiet bliss of awakening, not the fireworks of enlightenment, but the gentle hum of peace that never leaves. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it simply is. You realize that love isn't an emotion. It's the natural state of being. When resistance ends, it flows effortlessly through you, touching everyone and everything without asking for anything in return. You start to live differently now. You speak slower, listen deeper, see beauty in the smallest things. The way light falls on a wall, the curve of a leaf, the silence between words, because you know you've come home. And home was never a place. It was this presence, this stillness, this remembering. As the journey deepens, even the word awakening begins to fade. It no longer feels like something happening to you. It simply is. You stop measuring progress. You stop searching for signs. The desire to become something dissolves because you realize you already are everything you were seeking. The mind still tries to name it: peace, enlightenment, awareness. But you smile because the truth doesn't need a label. It just moves through you, soft and quiet, like wind through an open window. You begin to see that every experience, joy or pain, clarity or confusion, is made of the same essence. There is no separation between light and dark, between divine and human. They dance together, endlessly, each completing the other. You walk through life with a kind of sacred simplicity. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to defend it. You just live, fully, presently, openly. When people ask what happened to you, you find it hard to answer, because nothing happened. You didn't become something new. You remembered what you've always been. The universe looks back through your eyes now, gentle, vast, awake, and in that gaze, everything is forgiven, everything is understood, everything is love. And now, looking back, you can finally see the symmetry in it all, how the falling apart was never destruction, but sacred architecture. Every crack in your heart let the light in. Every ending made room for something truer to begin. Every loss was a quiet invitation to remember that nothing real can ever be lost. The one who entered the fire is not the one who emerged. You burned, yes, but only the false was turned to ash. What remains is pure, simple, unshakable. You no longer chase meaning, you are meaning. You no longer beg for peace, you embody it. You no longer reach for the divine, because you finally understand you were never apart from it. The breakdown was the initiation, the collapse was the cleansing, the confusion was the chrysalis, and this stillness, this quiet knowing, this breath is the rebirth. You rise not as who you were, but as what you've always been. Awareness wearing a human face, eternity breathing in and out of time. And as you walk through the world now, you carry a new kind of knowing. Not that everything will be easy, but that everything is sacred. Even the fall, even the fire, even the breaking, because it was never about becoming light. It was about remembering you were the light all along.